So many times athletes cap their potential, even if their success is right in front of them. And the truth is, you've never really been taught as an athlete how to go take it, right? So many coaches tell you, go take it, take what you want, get what you want. But the truth is, there's three major decisions you need to make if you're going to be successful as an athlete. They're inherent, meaning that you have to make them no matter what. They're things that you have to do if you want to be successful. And in today's podcast, we're going to go over the three of them. Number one, making sure you understand what you want. Number two, making sure you understand who you need to be. And number three, understanding what it's really going to take to get there. So in today's episode, we're going to walk you through the framework that we use with our athletes to make sure that they really get what they want. And we're going to teach you the formula that we use in order to make sure that our athletes are consistently successful and they're not one-hit wonders. So let's dive into this podcast and we'll see you soon. Successful athletes, it's a funny kind of topic to go into, and that's why we're going to be covering it today. But it's something that Chris and I were saying over the last little bit that we really want to get into, like certain things that really allow athletes to understand what it is that makes them successful, certain things that athletes understand what it means to be, their absolute best. I feel like so many times success is vague, right? So we're going to dive into that today. But before we get started, I'm sure like you could tell, if you are tuning in from our video version or our YouTube version of this podcast, we do have a nice little new setup here. Something we're excited about, something that we felt just needed a bit of a change.
You're going to keep improving too. So you guys got to check it out. Well, you know what? See if you can find one new thing each week, because I feel like we're going to start adding some stuff in there too.
Yeah, no, we enjoy these podcasts. We enjoy talking to you. We enjoy talking and kind of weighing in.
Well, we shoot these on Fridays, so it's a nice way to kind of recap the week a little bit.
It is.
And just,
There's a lot
chill
to learn.
A little bit. Bring some new stuff to you guys, because we always have conversations with athletes during the week, and we always have new topics. And we're always actually kind of interested in the topics that you guys want to talk about as well. Like if you have Instagram, you can reach out to us on Instagram, support at Molliteum. .com. Like, you can send us emails.
I was also going to say, and to Chris's point too, we use Instagram a lot as a company. We have a whole team behind it. So we're going to be posting stories now throughout the week, like story things saying, what do you want us to cover in our YouTube videos? If you haven't checked those out, check them out. We have a series that train athletes in our global training platform, if you will, on the mental game. But we're taking requests for those. We're taking requests for these episodes as well. It kind of just allows us to understand you better as viewers, and more importantly, to make sure that we really hit this the way that we want to.
Well, we want to bring you the content that matters to you guys and not waste like our time putting stuff out there and waste your time listening to it.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing.
Right? So diving into today's 3 decisions every athlete needs to make if they're going to be successful. I feel like this is one that it's overlooked a lot of times, meaning that like athletes, sometimes they forget about the idea that success really, it's more than just a choice. There are a couple things that come along with it, but decisions are the very most basic kind of way to get there. And, decisions, you have to see it kind of like as a vehicle. If you don't decide what you want and you don't decide and take control over what you want, you're always going to be living off somebody else's agenda.
Well, that, and not only that, but also like even for the different positions in each sport, success is much different from one position to another, to another, to another, even for the individual athlete playing in that position. Like some have a completely different style, playing right wing, for example, in hockey. Mm-hmm. Some guys have a completely different style of play that they're trying to show off to teams to get them to that next level and stuff like that. Like success is very different. And the more clear that you are on what success means to you, the easier it is. Yep. And you want to make sure that it aligns with what your next steps are as an athlete as well.
Well, and the other thing too is like I was actually talking about it with my wife Ashley this morning. And we were saying like the root of a lot of people's, and I've said this before on the show and I'm going to say it again, the root of a lot of people's mental health issues stems from living a life that isn't in accordance with what they want, meaning they're living a life, they're going down a path that doesn't align with where they want to go, or maybe they don't have a path at all. And it just causes that unhappiness. It causes that depressional period. So as much as this is for success, this is also today's episode. It's very important for your own happiness. It's very important for your own ambition. It's very important for getting to that next level in whatever area of life it might be. But you need to make these 3 decisions if you're going to do anything successful in this life and if you're going to go there. It's coming from my own anecdote, Chris's own anecdote, and of course the athletes that we work with. So really quick to kind of intro this. This all came to be with an NFL player that we work with. And we were having our session this past week and he goes, I said, so man, tell me what your chief aim is. So we say there's a chief aim that everybody has. What do you want this year? What do you really want? And this was a big one for him because I feel like it was something where before he knew where he wanted to go over the next, let's say, decade, but he didn't really know where he wanted to go right now. And we reduced it and got clearer and clearer and clearer. And that's where you could see him really light up. And he goes, man, I want to be a Pro Bowler this year. And it's like, okay, fair enough. Like it's huge. It's like, okay, so he knows where he wants to go. The second thing we said then was, okay, so if you want to be a Pro Bowler, who must you become in order to do that? And he started describing this person he had to become this year. And it's like, interesting. And it's like, okay, then if that's the case, what do you need to give this year in order to get there? What do you have to do? Like, what's it going to take? It's not just hard work. It's more than that. It's not even to use the BS term, but of sacrifice. It's not sacrifice, it's committing. And once he got clear on that, things kind of started to become much easier for him because it wasn't anymore like, oh my gosh, I got to miss this, whatever I'm doing on a Saturday night. It's like, hey, I committed to doing this. I got to get my work done and then I can go. And similarly, I was talking to a brilliant young hockey player who's going to make his mark soon, 17 years old. He's going to do fantastic things in the NCAA next year. And he goes, man, I really realized, Matt, like, for me to go out on the weekend with my friends and enjoy myself, I need to know, not get the perfect result, but he goes, I need to know I did everything in my power to do my best this week in my performances.
Yeah. Completely.
And it's like, that's what it means to take your job serious.
And just quick little question to clarify, Pro Bowler for people that don't necessarily know the NFL.
It's like an all-star.
It's an all-star.
And it's very difficult. It's very difficult in the NFL, especially because there's obviously such a wide roster for each team, but more importantly, especially when you're talking about this position this individual is, you need to be so detailed and disciplined that you get the statistics you need in order to get there. That's the hard part.
Because like it to me, well, Pro Bowler, like you said, all-star kind of equivalent. Even all-star in different leagues means so many different things. Like from the NHL to like, it seems like there's different prestige for each.
Well, and think like a lot of these leagues, to get cleared to be an all-star player or Pro Bowler, what people don't realize too is a lot of it has to do with the marketing behind the player.
Right.
So if the player is well marketed, they catch more hype, they get more votes. That it's hard. Yeah. It's not easy. It's hard.
And think of how many players are in each of these leagues and only so many get to the All-Star, or even like the 17-year-old going to the NCAA. How many players are even there? Like, it's a true commitment to and defining of what that success is for that individual. Because some people, they just want to, have a career and go home, which is completely fine. But then the others that want to take it that extra mile. Like, but this is understand all of that has to go into it.
And this is a great segue into the first most important decision, what you want to create for yourself. So we'll even start here, but I'll continue on that point. This is what I mean though about the happiness aspect, right? How many times, break down like the midlife crises or the desperation points for a lot of people. And I know some of you tuning in might not even be thinking about midlife crises, but my point is whenever a crisis happens is when you notice in that moment of time, oh my gosh, I'm not doing what I wanted to do, right? I'm not living how I wanted to live. That often comes because of a lack of planning. Like I was talking to my wife about it this morning, and it's like people like this is the one struggle I have sometimes with common day therapy, right? It's like we're going to put all these Band-Aids on problems when really the one major question people should be asked is, well, what do you really want before we start solving those problems? What do you really want? What do you really want to accomplish here? Where do you really want to go? What's ideal for you? What looks good to you? What is the right outcome for you? Instead of let's just solve that problem. It's like, hold on. Before any of those problems, if we just shifted our focus to going down that path, are any of those problems still relevant? I bet you 90% won't be, right? It's like, that's why I'm saying you need to start with this 3 to 5 year plan. Because it's when we shifted our focus with this football player, and it was like, instead of just, I need to have a good career in the NFL, instead it was paint that vibrant picture of what you want over the next 3, 5, 10 years. Where do you want to be? Do you want the big house because that's what your sport was able to help you afford? What do you want to mean to a team? You know, what do you want your brand to look like? What do you want this? But it's thinking about things holistically, because then it's like, oh, so I guess that little pit-pat issue that I had here, it's dissolved now.
In the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely.
And I think that's also a very important point too, is the 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, you can definitely change and make that change, like, to start working towards that in a week. But having that success part really does take a lot longer than some people think. Like, building it up, you can have the small little successes and wins. Like, for example, going to the gym, like, you set the goal of going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and then you hit it for a couple weeks consistently. You won't see that stuff until a year down the line.
For a little bit, yeah.
You know? And it's like the success part, like for the player that you were talking about being a Pro Bowler, the marketing that goes behind that player.
It's a lot.
But that's built up over seasons.
Of
That's
course.
that's not you get into the NFL and then it's there, unless you already have all that marketing behind you. But like, even for that, to have all that marketing behind you, you would have had to have earned that years prior.
But this is why it's so important for every athlete to have a 3, 5, 10-year vision.
Oh, big time.
Right? And you don't have to jump to 10, but, you know, I'll never forget it. The thing that got me through one of my darkest times when I was a youth athlete, 12 years old, I've shared this story before. Coach told me I would never be able to make it pro. Immediately, I went to a vision. Okay, in 5 to 10 years, I want to become a pro athlete. Yeah. I don't know how. I'm going to do it. I don't know how. I really want it. I want to do it. And I just stayed focused on that when the going got tough, right? Like, I'll be the first. I got bullied in high school, right? Like, grade 9, I wasn't the best goalie. I was made fun of. I was overweight. I was too big. Like, but what carried me through the tough time is, okay, one day it's going to be my day. I'm almost there. I know what I want. I just need to stay patient. But if I didn't have that 3 to 5 year vision or 5 to 10 year vision of going pro, the scholarship never would have happened because I was a part of the process. The making it to the Toronto FC university team at the time where we university players trained never would have happened. And my springboard to the professional team that I went to play with in Italy, where I got the connection through my grandparents who happened to know, had a cousin who happened to know an owner of a team that was able to get me. That never would have happened. But I had the big picture in mind. Does that mean you're going to know exactly how it's going to happen immediately? No. But you need to have the big picture and you need the stepping stones. Otherwise, what sports can do to athletes, and I hate to say it, but it's a truth, sports teams will rip you away from what you really want.
Oh, easily.
Right? And I'm not like, look, you need to treat teams as an athlete as giving your absolute all and leaving it better than you found it as a byproduct of you trying to get to that big picture that you have for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, so for example, the Pro Bowler. Okay. Do you really think if this individual goes and plays like a Pro Bowler every single down that he's not going to benefit the team? Of course he is. Right? We say this all the time to coaches. Like, coaches are on this hellbent, oh, you gotta be all about the team. Well, let's talk about human beings for a second. Human beings, as much as it would be nice to think that we're all these individuals who only care about other people, we always do things inherently for ourselves. So take the negative connotation away from selfish. Let's pretend you go hold a door open for an old person walking in. And you do it because you know for yourself you will feel good if you hold that door open. That's selfish at the root meaning.
You know, I had this philosophy teacher back in high school.
That's where I learned it from.
Mr. Gogolek?
Yeah. He's right.
If he ever watches this. But man, that conversation went on for weeks.
No, but it's a truth, right? And it's like, but that's my point to it. It's like selfish just has a negative connotation to it. But holding the door open for yourself because you wanted to do that and it makes you feel better, you're benefiting that old person as a result of it, right? Now, without the negative side to it, but it's the same with this guy. This guy wants to become a Pro Bowler because he's going to get to the next level. But as a byproduct of that, he's going to be one of the best freaking linemen on his team.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
And you know what? And I think from what you said there, from teams will rip you away from what you want.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of athletes go into it naively a little bit. Well, obviously, if they don't have the experience or anyone that tells them, but you have like professional sports is a cutthroat business.
Yes.
It is ice cold.
Hey,
it's
man,
hard.
Even just one thing, not just pro, even youth.
Well, yeah, it depends.
Youth is look, North American youth sports, let's talk real about this for a sec. North American youth sports is very cutthroat.
For sure.
And it's political, and it's full of, and it's a byproduct of the communities that we're in.
I would even say some of the football academies in England.
Of course.
Well. At that, I think there it's...
Continue your point.
It's
but
there as well.
It's you were onto it. Pro sports is very cutthroat. Youth is very cutthroat. Finish your point.
Yeah, well, I think anything, if you're going to play at that level, like truly play or want to play at that level, I think you have to, number one, want all of that. Mm-hmm. But number two, like accept, hey, you know what? Some days my vision is either going to get stale or it's going to get clouded.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? But at the same time, if you have that 3 to 5 year target, those points in time are legitimately just points in time and not the be all and end all.
It's leaving the team better than you found it, but more importantly, it guides your decision making. That's why you need this 3 to 5 year target. Like for me, I went and played on one of the worst teams when I was trying to get a scholarship that I could possibly find because I was a goalkeeper for soccer. Teams that we were losing like 3-1, 4-1, 8-0 sometimes in games. Why though? Because I averaged 17 shots a game as a youth soccer player when I wanted to get recruited to go to school. And I'll never forget, I got recruited after a 4-1 game. I got the email from Ontario Tech University. 4-1 loss. 4-1 loss was when I got the email from coach at the time, Vaso Vujanovic. And he goes, hey, saw your team lose. Saw it was a tough one for the whole team. But I'll tell you, the amount of shots that you got and what you were able to do and communicate and showcase and that was great for you. And in my head, it's like all my friends were calling me stupid because I went to this team and started playing on this losing team, notoriously losing team where my stats as a goalkeeper sucked. Mm-hmm. But I knew at that point, I was a late bloomer. I needed to showcase myself. And the only way to get proper footage and film and shots, which is what I did, was to play on a crap team. But if I didn't have that vision of, okay, in 3 to 5 years, I want to be pro, or 5 to 10, I want to be pro, but a step there, I want to get a scholarship. If I didn't have that, there's no way it would have happened. Mm-hmm. It's impossible. But that vision is what I'm saying, why you can't get lost in your team. Your team will take that away. Because like Chris's point was, sports are cutthroat, man. Even youth sports. And at the root of it all, and there's nothing wrong with this. This is human nature, is to protect ourselves. Coaches are protecting their job.
Oh, that too, yeah.
But that's why decisions are made the way they're made.
And I think people also got to understand too, from the coaching perspective, like they want to, at the end of the day, at a level that's high enough, they need to be able to put the best team on the field.
Yep.
And they have to be able to weed out who can commit to that level and who cannot. I'm not saying who's good enough. No. I'm saying who can commit to that level and who can't.
But the thing is too, like where I feel coaches are even misunderstood, think like for any parent tuning in or athlete tuning in, think about it. You're being asked as a volunteer for most of these youth systems, as a volunteer coach where maybe you'll get thrown a couple $1,000s, nothing crazy, not sustainable to live. And you're being asked to dedicate yourself 4 to 6 times a week, sometimes 7, to a team on top of your full-time job, on top of your other commitments in life, on top of all that, and you're expected to field the best team out there. So like that's why I was saying it's a part of the community. It's coaches are also in a tough situation, but I think there needs to be an understanding from 3 areas, from the athlete, the parent, and the coach, exactly what's going on. But that's why this vision matters, because then you can make the choice. Well, is it the right time to go into that high of a competitive team right now if I'm trying to get, like me, footage for myself? I wasn't even playing at the highest level when I got my scholarship. I wasn't even playing at the highest level when I went professional. I was playing with Toronto FC's winter team for their university-based athletes to go to the team. And it's like, it doesn't matter what it is. You need to understand what fits your situation. So to keep it clear, you need to make sure as an athlete, decision number one, where do you want to go in the next 3, 5, 10 years? Where do you want to be? Create a vision, write it out on paper, put it out. You can vision board it if you want to vision board it, whatever you want to call it, but put it on paper, get it clear, put it in a document. And as you start accomplishing, start checking off. That's how this works. Okay. Decision number 2, you need to get clear on who you must be right now. So the Pro Bowler, let's go back to this example. Pro Bowler has a massive vision for the next 10 years that spans even into entrepreneurship and all that. He's a pro athlete. But for this year, the person he wanted to become is a Pro Bowler. So why is that word become important? Well, if you think about it, the only real way to accomplish your targets in life is to become your target, is what we say. Right? So you can say all you want, I want to be a Pro Bowler, Pro Bowler, Pro Bowler. But if you're not having Pro Bowler habits and doing Pro Bowler things, you'll never be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. And that's in, different
Everything.
aspects, whether that be your sleep schedule, whether that be on the field, in your training in the gym. And the nice part is about this, it's yours.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to gloat it. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to.
No.
It's more of, hey, you know what? The gym today, I really did put everything in there. That was a solid win.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the next one?
It's building blocks, right? And it's like, people don't realize it's a bunch of the small decisions and habits that lead to one big result.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just become a Pro Bowler overnight to fixate on it. You don't just become an NCAA athlete overnight. It's a stack on a stack on a stack, little by little by little. And then at the end of the month, you have 30 little things that add up to one big thing. And it's like, whoa, look how much further I am than I was before. Right? So it's this understanding that to do it, it's a bunch of little things, but you need to become this individual. And the easiest way to do it is to say like this, okay, if I want to, get to this vision in 10 years, it's like me. Let's pretend I'm talking to 12-year-old me. If I want to get to this vision as a pro in 5 to 10 years, what do I need to do right now? Well, I need to become a rep goalkeeper right now. I need to learn how to be good at that. I need to learn how to be better at that. I need to acquire the skills for it. So that's where things started to change. And then all you do is audit your habits, right? Simply auditing your habits is, hey, what I need to do right now, I need to have better nutrition. I need to have better sleep. If I'm going to be a rep player, I need to build the skill of being better at shot stopping. I need to build the skill of being better with the ball at my feet. That's what I did, right? And when I was able to do that, for me, it was very simple because it's like, okay, if I want to be a rep goalkeeper right now in the next year, in the next 365 days, that's what I need to do. Now, the Pro Bowler, that's where we're closing habits now. It's like, okay, if you want to be a Pro Bowler, how do you need to reason with situations? How do you need to treat your nutrition? How do you need to treat your sleep? How do you need to treat this? How do you need to treat this? How do you need to attack practice? How do you need to attack the gym? What about your positions coach? What about this? It's just auditing yourself. And all you're going to do then is once you decide who you need to be right now in the next 365 days to take a step, you're going to simply ask yourself, okay, now that I know this year I need to become the starter on my team, and I'll give an example in a sec. That means that this year I need to put this in place to get there. I need to build this habit. So a great example is a player that we work with in the MLS, Major League Soccer. And he's a young lad. He's very, very good at what he does. And he goes, man, in 3 to 5 years, I want to find myself playing in a top flight division specifically for Atletico Madrid. I said, hell yeah. I said, so what do we got to do this year? He goes, I got to be one of the most impactful players on my team this year.
Has he seen what that preseason looks like for Atletico Madrid?
Hell on earth. Right? Hell on earth. But that my point is like in the next 365 days now, he's building the habits. And the funniest thing is the most important habit he's building right now. He goes, Matt, I need to slow down in the mornings. That's my one habit, because he goes, I often used to rush into practice. I didn't think about what I needed to do. Then I had a shitty practice week because I stacked 4 average days. I went into the games not feeling great. He goes, I need to do that, and I need you to remind me when to do my stuff. I'm horrible with that, and I need reminders. It's like, fair enough. That's auditing behaviors. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you become one of the most impactful players. And it's like, okay, I also need to build my skill on the ball this year. I also need to build my ability to finish, and I need to build my ability to hit long balls exactly on the nose of the player. It's like, done. Let's do it. But my point is, that's the step now, right? You're becoming your target. So if you can keep that in mind, you need to ask yourself, okay, what's the most logical step for me to take this year right now? And then audit your behaviors.
Good for him for admitting that. Like, you need this, this, and that. How old is he?
21.
It's
hard to do.
Good for him.
But that's why he's going to be elite. That's why he is elite, right? And it's like, that's the shit that it takes. It's hard. It's freaking hard, man. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the individual, very successful man, coached billionaires on billionaires, this guy. And he goes, man, it's hard to be successful, not because the things to do are hard, but because it's hard to stay disciplined with the little things. That's the hard part. He goes, it's not sexy waking up and reading your numbers every morning.
Yeah.
But it's necessary.
It's
like
necessary.
players, right?
It's what's necessary.
It's not sexy doing the keep ups every single day for 20 minutes when you've mastered it to maintain that skill. It's not sexy to do that. It's not sexy to take the shots of ginger and turmeric. It's not, but it's necessary.
Yeah. Maintenance is the biggest pain in the ass that regardless, professional athlete, junior athlete, you know, any individual, maintenance is the most difficult thing.
It's like
to
a car,
achieve,
right?
man.
Bringing in your car when the light goes on, it's like, like, I don't want to do this, right? But you have to go out of your way and you got to do it. And if you don't, it's going to cost you. That's the same thing with this, because it leads into our last point here. And that's getting very clear on what it's going to take. That's what the MLS player did. That's what all of our players do. That's what the Pro Bowler did. Very, very clear on what it's going to take. And we call this committing to the reality of your process.
I think this is the most difficult thing for people to get their head around, because until you're in it, it's only stories that you hear.
Yep.
And experiences of others. Until you're actually in it and experiencing it yourself.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, let's talk about what this also does too. Committing to the reality of the process isn't just for the athlete. Mm-hmm. If you're a youth athlete, it's also for the parent, right? I think one of the things that I was talking to a professional official, a referee. He's very well connected in his sport community. Probably knows his game. One of the most detailed, diligent people I've ever known to know his sport. Mm-hmm. And he goes, Matt, the thing that holds players back the most is not the player. It's the player with the parent who tells them they're always good.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's what I notice is the killer. He goes, not because you're building spoiled kids. You're building kids that don't have self-awareness. And it's like, that's huge. That is committing to the reality of your process. That's 12-year-old me looking at myself saying, I'm out of shape. I'm not able to keep up with the fitness of the team. As much as I didn't do well in the game that I was playing in, I do need to get much better. And I know if I'm going to do this, it's going to take some hard work. Mm-hmm. That was committing to the reality of my process. But that self-awareness is what drove me to become the pro. That's what allowed me to be the pro. Because it wasn't any more of, do I need to, what's it going to take? I need to watch myself eat or watch myself when I'm eating when I go to so-and-so's house. It's like, no. The reality of my process was I have bad eating habits. And if I'm going to do this right, I need to get my eating habits better.
Well, a good example of that is this actually a conversation that I had with one of my athletes yesterday. Mm-hmm. And the reality of so he's drafted now to the NHL. He's there. He's back on his junior team. And the reality of the process can be different from individual to individual. Mm-hmm. His, as soon as he got into junior, he had to have conversations with his coach asking consistently, why are you moving me all around the lineup without any, why are you scratching me? Why are you this? Why are you that? And he's been on the team for a while, and the same conversation that's normal to him isn't normal to other players on the team.
Yeah.
And even though he played well, let's say the game before he played well, the game after, then he gets put on a fourth line. And it's like, man, in the middle of the game, he has to go have that conversation with the coach. And that's the reality or the commitment to his process when, again, it's completely different to other people.
Well, I wrote this down. It's funny. Committing to the reality of your process is one of the most uncomfortable things you have to do, but it saves you years.
And I think also it's a lot of discovery for the individual as to what the reality of your process is. Because if you compare yours to somebody else's, you could be completely on a different track, and it makes it much more difficult for yourself.
Well, and I'll tell you, look, there's an athlete we work with. He's 26 years old. He's on the brink of top level and second level, or first division, second division in his sport. And the reality of his process was, man, you need to have a conversation with your agent, and you need to figure out a plan. Because being in limbo, one of the worst things you could do. The reality of your process is you're 26. You need to make the jump. If you don't, I've seen this happen multiple times. You're going to shortcome it.
Just get washed.
Yep. You're going to get lost in the mix. Same with another athlete whenever they're underperforming, right? We're the mental guys, right? We're the mental team. Doesn't mean though that our athletes don't have off days, off weeks, off months. They do. It's part of the process and the reality of what we committed to. There's highs and lows.
Even
yeah.
sometimes.
There's seasons, right? But whenever an athlete's underperforming, it's like, okay, let's commit to the reality of your process. What's your current reality?
Yeah.
How's your work? Are you disciplined? Are you diligent? Are you working as hard as you could in practice? Are you as detailed as you could be? And when you go through that audit, it's like, no, I'm not. It's like, okay, well, let's change the commitments.
Yeah, that's actually even a conversation I had yesterday with a younger athlete. He just came back from an injury for the last couple months, and he finally got cleared. And he was like, man, I'm worried about when I come back, I'm not going to be where I want to be. And I was like, of course, that's the reality
It's normal.
of what you're going through right now. But you have to understand what that next step is. Because if you're already thinking you'll be on step 8, when you have step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to go through, you're not going to be there. It's like find it, get to the next one, and then just slowly start to go up.
And this whole committing to the reality of your process, this is such a time saver for so many people, because this is what I was talking about before. Like, it's such a freeing exercise, right? Because when you commit to really what's going on, there's no more bullshit stories you give yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the quote I have a lot of times with the therapeutic approaches that are going on right now, right? Where it's like, and it's not to hammer in on them, but truth be told, if I see something's going on, call it out. Here's what's going on. You want to be this. You're currently acting like this. This is where it's not meeting. That's why you're not getting what you want. You know how much easier that is and quick, as much as it's painful and it's ripping the Band-Aid off, the common saying, the truth sets you free, but it's going to piss you off at first. That's what this does. But it's like, once you see it, it's like us with the YouTube channel. It's like, okay, realistically, content's good. It looks like crap. Change it. Boom. And it's like, that saves us years and time and money and emotional distraught, because it's like you're no longer sitting there suffering in your own shit. You're now in a spot where you're trying to get better at things. And that's the key, right? It's like you're not sitting there just crying about it. You committed to what's going on. You face the reality of your process, and now you're making your changes. That's it. Like, for anybody tuning in that's unhappy or you're in a depressional period of your life, I'll tell you something. The quicker you understand and discover what the gap is and then work to close it, you're going to crush it. But so many times, people don't work to close that gap. People just, misery loves company. Well, I'm not getting what I want. Okay, well, tell me about how you feel. Well, I'm mad. Okay, well, let's deal with your angry feelings. It's like, no. Rip that out at the root, man. Why aren't you getting what you want? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, let's look at your current practices. Are you working well? No. Are you doing the things that you need to do in order to be successful? No. How about the details here? No. Is your eating good? No. Is your sleeping good? No. Well, I wonder why. So let's solve for those so you don't have to keep going through that problem. And then that way you can go to it. It's a very direct approach. But look, the direct approach, it's going to scare the hell out of you at the start. Direct is very uncomfortable for people. But I will tell you, with these top ballers, with these top individuals we work with those people at the top, their demeanor isn't that they're mean people. I think a lot of people think they're like mean in some way. Like they watch that Last Dance and they're like, Michael Jordan's an asshole. Michael Jordan, yeah, okay. There were a lot of times that he did things that probably were questionable. But the one thing I'll say about Michael's demeanor, he was to the solution right away.
Yeah.
You're playing like crap. You need to be better. You're not working hard enough in the gym. You need to be better. And people, well, that's an asshole move. It's like, it's not an asshole move. That's, in fact, he's saving you from yourself. Right? And it's like, I think we need to change the narrative around that a lot of times to kind of wrap up on this point. But you can't expect to get to where you want to go without facing the truth of where you are.
Yeah.
You can't. If you're trying to build $1 billion company and you're starting with no money, well, you can't just start acting like a billionaire. You need to take the next right step. to get there. If you want to get to the NHL or pro level or wherever you are, but you're currently at the lowest and you were like I was, where you were out of shape and you didn't have a lot of skill and you need to build it, that's fine. But was facing the reality of my process hard? It was tough, man. Let me tell you that. I have a whole journal that I wrote about it in, but I'll tell you, like, that was the thing that got me to where I wanted to go the quickest. And it's, if you can commit to that, things become very simple for you. Like, it wasn't a question anymore of what do I need to do? It's like, just fix that.
Yeah. And I would say the starting point for everyone that's listening is just find out that next step first.
Yeah.
Know
where you want to go.
Yeah. It makes it easier for yourself. You have some clarity. If you were thinking like, oh man, this is going to be such a massive undertaking to get to where I want to go, just find the next step.
Yeah. And it's like,
hit it.
And the one thing I'll say, there's a really good book that's out. I forget the name of it, talking about emotional resilience. And it talks about the therapeutic approaches right now, right? And it's like, the problem is obvious, is too many times you overwhelm or underwhelm the client, meaning you give them too much to do or not enough to do. The sweet spot is very simple. 1 new brick a week, right? So if you're like I was, let me tell you how I did it when I was 12 years old. I started with, okay, first most important thing, I got to get my weight in check. Okay, so what's the most important thing with that? Am I working? Yeah, I was training. I was an athlete. Okay, was I sleeping? Yeah. Was I eating right? No. So I started with that. 1 week, all I started with was eating the right portion sizes. The next week, eating the right foods. The next week after that, reducing calories a little bit. The next week after that, but I'm saying the stack on stack on stack on stack, I then built by the end of the month the habit of eating well. Then the next month was like, okay, now that the weight's in check, look, it's easier to dive. Okay, what's the next step? Well, I got to get better with this. And then you stack and you stack and you stack. But to Chris's point, yes, it's find the next step first. It's like, if you can just find the first thing, you're going to gain some momentum and then more momentum and more momentum. And then you stack and stack and stack. And that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Right? So to keep it simple, 3 of the most important decisions you need to make if you're going to be a successful athlete. Number 1, decide where you want to go in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. Number 2, decide on who you need to be right now in the next 365 days. And number 3, make sure you understand what it's going to take to get there. Don't lie to yourself. Don't let other people lie to you. Be critical about it, understand it, and you will get to the root of your problems as quick as you possibly can and get to the next level, I promise. So with that being said, please, if you're tuning in from the audio version of this, make sure that you leave a 5-star review and a rating on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us. A comment down below also helps us. Show review also helps us. We really appreciate that. It helps us grow. If you're tuning in the video version or in the YouTube version, like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Comment down below what you think too. Like, did we miss anything? These are the most 3 important decisions we feel that every athlete can make. If you want to work with us, we have 3 ways to do that. Number 1, you can work with us in a one-on-one coaching setting. That's an application basis only. You need to make sure to click the link down below, apply, and we'll see if you're a good fit for our programs. The second way you can work with us, though, if we don't feel you're a good fit or you feel like you want something more DIY, the Molliteum Pocket Coach, 365 days, guided videos, audio sessions as well, that will guarantee you build your resilience after the first session or your money back. And finally, if you want to work with us for free, simply put, sign up to the Molliteum Insider down below. It's a free newsletter, comes out 1 to 3 times a week, updating you on podcast episodes, YouTube episodes, and then of course, just a great free piece of content that we do not share on our social media that's specific to the people in the difference maker or in the insider community, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, make sure you stay resilient. Check out our social pages. We are taking requests for episodes, and we'll see you all in the next one.